You are listening to The Investor's Guide to Scorpio Ranch and Phoenix Bloom by Sasha Wallace. Narrated for you by Sasha Wallace. Donations to paypal.me/Bloom Healing. Inquiries bloomhealing22@gmail.com. The locations of the Home Tree Farm eco-villages are Sunsite Ranches in Arizona and Gunsight Ranches in Texas. Chapter 13. The Indigo Zone. Dark Skies. Part 1. Going Westward. My aspiration is to build, in collaboration with the right partners, an astronomy observation tower at both of our eco-villages, Scorpio Ranch in Texas and Phoenix Bloom in Arizona, because our locations are directly under some of the darkest skies on Earth. Our space in Texas is 140 miles further west than the Marfa Lights, near Fort Davis and Alpine, which have been officially designated as Class 1 level dark skies. Driving 2 hours north of Scorpio Ranch into the Gunsights takes you right into Roswell, New Mexico, home of the infamous UFO crash site, Area 51. What was once considered a mere conspiracy theory has now been so heavily investigated and confirmed as a true event by independent sources that it's hard not to be intrigued by the research. Our Arizona space at Sunsite Ranch is 340 miles even further west than Gunsight Ranch, and this area close to the Grand Canyon holds a treasure trove of tales, from origin stories of extraterrestrials seeding Earth and its tribal inhabitants with agricultural and technological advances, to artwork depicting mythological beings carved into the rock faces and caves, dating back to a time that the current land dwellers have long forgotten. Into the modern day, legends slip ever closer towards the truth that we are not alone in the universe. Far from it. With regular sightings. Into the modern day, legends slip ever closer towards the truth that we are not alone in the universe. Far from it. With regular sightings and video footage of unusual phenomena and unidentified flying objects in the dark skies above, along with paranormal activity witnessed in the desert as strange lights, cosmic sounds, and vibrational frequencies being felt around the plateaus, valleys, and peaks of the sacred mesas or mountains. Wow, if those mountains could talk and tell us all they have seen over the millennia of our planet. And perhaps, just perhaps, these mythical sounds, apparitions, and frequencies which are coming up and out of the earth and mountains really are calling to us to bear witness, to explore, to imagine, and to follow our intuitive nudges towards a higher understanding of who we are. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 2, Angels. The provisional pet name for my observatory hubs planned in Texas and Arizona is as follows: the Astronautical Nighttime Gazing and Elevated Learning Sky Towers, aka the Angels. I'm an avid scholar of astronomy, with a particular interest in the writings and beliefs held about the cosmos, space travel, and astrology by ancient advanced civilizations such as the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and the Vedic astronomer priests. I've always had one eye on the skies ever since I was a child, be it sunrise or sunset or high noon, becoming fixed upon the wandering planets and the stars, as our indigo cinema screen above, full of ultra-bright constellations, comes to life night after night. Seeking out the special pattern of stars that make up the zodiac constellation of Scorpio is a fun puzzle to solve every chance I get. Until such day as the astronomy observation towers are completed, and investors keen to collaborate are encouraged to apply now, I want to personally invite you to come and enjoy the extra dark, extra special dark skies at our eco-villages and relax in our alfresco stargazing cinema. Meet us at our solar-powered fairy-lit lounges. Bring your own tent and picnic, or simply let us host you with a yummy drinks and snacks menu and our rent-a-tent spots and RV park. We may even have a telescope or two for our astro enthusiasts to peer through. Let's use our eyes to guide us to other realms and allow our imaginations to take flight into the starry, starry night. I look forward immensely to sharing our spaces with you, bringing you closer, bringing us closer to what I can't yet say, but together we will learn even more about the forces that drive us as humans and direct our daily lives, to better understand the places we came from, possibly from a galaxy far, far away. And did you know that these mighty dark skies are some of the best places on the planet to see the Milky Way in all her sparkling galactic glory? Don't forget to mark your calendar for the eclipse event of the century on the 8th of April 2024. Bring your tent or your RV and your friends and family and join us to watch the annular solar eclipse. Further details will be released closer to the time. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 3, Lucifer. So back to these angels. Please note we are not affiliated with, nor to be confused with, the largest Earth-based telescope and sky observation. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 3, Lucifer. So back to these angels. Please note, we are not affiliated with, nor to be confused with, the largest Earth-based telescope and sky observation center, owned by the Vatican, of Vatican City in Rome, Italy. Known affectionately as Lucifer, the name is an acronym and provides a technical description of what the telescope is capable of. L is for Large Binocular Telescope Near Infrared Spectroscopic. U is for Utility with. C is for Camera and. I is for Integral. F is for Field Unit 4. E is for Extragalactic. And R is for Research. Note the first letter of each line spells out Lucifer. This was no accident, nor a coincidence, and it's not a fantasy created by conspiracy theorists, despite what you might find digging around online. And I'll explain why. Many people are surprised to learn that the Vatican even has an observatory. The idea of scientific study into extragalactic research seems out of step with the Catholic Church of the Holy Roman Empire. However, the truth is always stranger than fiction. The history of the Vatican Observatory goes back a whopping 2,500 years in the past, circa 500 years BC or before Christ. During its history, there has, not surprisingly, been some turmoil and controversy surrounding these facts, and the Vatican Observatory was physically moved several times, not least to escape the light pollution and other hindrances that large cities like Rome pose to astronomy. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 4, Mount Graham. So where did the Pope put his telescope? More recently, but still over half a century ago, the Vatican Observatory established a research group at the Steward Observatory of the University of Arizona in Tucson, while the Vatican Observatory headquarters remains in Italy. Vatican astronomers continued to conduct research at the facilities at Steward Observatory, but in 1993, the 1.8-meter Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, or the VAT for short, opened on Mount Graham in southeast Arizona. In the same year, 1993, Steward Observatory's Heinrich Hertz Sub-Millimeter Telescope, or SMT, also opened on Mount Graham. Just over a decade later, the Large Binocular Telescope, known as LBT, opened, you got it, Mount Graham. Note the first three words of the L line of the Lucifer designation shown earlier, LBT for Large Binocular Telescope. With twin 8.4-meter mirrors, the LBT is one of the largest Earth-based telescopes on the planet. The fact that the name Lucifer, lifted directly from the Holy Bible, a book of traditional Christian scripture, and translates from the Latin as the morning star and the light bringer, begins to paint an incredible picture of mystic encryption and a divine code understood by a select few, known only perhaps in clandestine Illuminati secret circles, and its true meaning may remain a secret forever. Either way, the name Lucifer, attributed to a telescope owned by the Vatican, caused so much heat for the Catholic Church that it was renamed L.U.C.I, or L-U-C-I, in 2012, or by those in the inner circle at least. And the observation towers on Mount Graham in Arizona are now referred to as the VAT and SMT respectively, in the public, in official documents, and in TV online broadcasts. Which interestingly opens up further speculation. Could this Lucy possibly resonate with another Lucy, the first woman? Lucy is the name given to the earliest fossilized skeleton of a female ape, or bipedal hominid to be exact, first discovered in 1974 in Hadar, a village of Ethiopia in Africa, which helped to further develop our theories and understanding of evolution. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 5. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Or if this is too far out, maybe something closer to home, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is clearly a nod to the twinkling stars above, and the title of a song by an incredibly famous English band called the Beatles. Many have suggested Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was simply a cute code name for LSD, the psychotropic mind-expanding substance used prolifically in the 60s and 70s across US college campuses down in Haight-Ashbury and at Woodstock, and at plenty of other lively music festivals in the United Kingdom and Europe. This was the trippy colour backdrop and music scene for the Beatles' imagination, that magical lost era where free love was the most important currency. As someone who loves riddles, codes, puzzles, word games, wordplay, and by extension jokes of all kinds, I find these ideas very funny and extremely fascinating all at the same time. And maybe even I can admit to getting carried away sometimes, but some facts speak for themselves, to our deep inner knowing, no matter how many naysayers and debunkers want to dismiss the growing consciousness that is evolving. Lucy, aka the Large Binocular Telescope, LBT, is owned and operated by a consortium of institutions in the United States and from around the globe. Collectively, the three facilities atop Mount Graham, the VAT, the SMT, and LBT, comprise the Mount Graham International Observatory, or the MGIO. And before we leave the classroom, may I take you back to one of the first paragraphs in this section, that of the recorded history of the Vatican Observatory goes back a whopping 2,500 years into the past, or circa 500 years BCE. So, if the Vatican had eyes on outer space and everything there is to see through a telescope 500 years before Christ, why was there so much resistance to the scientific discoveries that occurred more than 2,000 years later? It's one of the strangest mysteries to me, unless there was an agenda to hide the evidence of intergalactic and extragalactic exploration. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 6, The Scientists. This section focuses on three inspirational scientists who uncovered the great mystery of our dark skies above, as well as what they were famous for, when they lived and how they died, and I'll leave the rest of the puzzling up to you. I'm sure you can spot the strangeness that I have observed across this time and space. Copernicus was born on February 19th, 1473 AD, under the sign of Aquarius, in Thorn, now named Torun in Poland. Nicolaus Copernicus is the Latin version of his name, which he chose later in life, as was the custom among scientists of the day. His original name may have been Mikołaj Kopernik. Copernicus's revolutionary theory that the Earth travels around the Sun upset the apple cart of more than 1,000 years' worth of scientific and religious wisdom. Copernicus was not imprisoned for his work, which he finished just months before his death. According to legend, he first saw a copy of his published work from his deathbed. Copernicus died of a cerebral hemorrhage on May 24th, 1543 AD. In the same year, his magnum opus, 6 books concerning the revolutions of the heavenly orbs, was published. 5 years after his death, a new light would rise. Giordano Bruno, born Filippo Bruno, was born in Nola, Italy, in either January or February of 1548 AD. he would have been a Capricorn or an Aquarius. Following an illustrious scientific career and a harrowing 8-year trial while charged as a heretic, the Italian philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician was found guilty of heresy, an act of blasphemy against God. The heresy he was accused of included the confirmation of scientists like Copernicus that the Sun and not the Earth was at the center of our solar system, heliocentricity, and the suggestion that there were exoplanets or outer planets beyond Saturn, the furthest planet that could be seen with the naked eye, and the astonishing claim that the universe was infinite and constantly expanding. Giordano Bruno was sentenced to be burned to death by the Roman Inquisition for his heretical ideas, which he refused to recant. It has been debated which of his ideas were found to be heretical, since the records of the case have not been preserved. He was burned while alive at the stake at the age of 52 in the Campo de' Fiori Square in Rome on the 9th of February 1600 AD. Today a statue of Giordano Bruno stands in the very same spot where he died, a testament to the unwavering faith he had clung to while he was alive. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 7. Heliocentrism. Copernicus was not imprisoned and faced no persecution during his life, because he died shortly after publishing his book in 1543. Giordano Bruno was executed in the public square in Rome in 1600. Galileo, on the other hand, who built upon the ideas of Copernicus and Bruno, was tried by the Inquisition in 1633 after his book was published in 1609. Born in the city of Pisa, Italy, on Tuesday the 15th of February 1564 AD, and yes, another Aquarius, Galileo de Vincenzo Buonarroti de Galilei, generally known as Galileo Galilei, Galileo was an Italian astronomer, physicist and engineer, inventor and a polymath. Galileo has been called the father of observational astronomy, modern-era classical physics, the scientific method, and modern science. Some 50 years after Copernicus published his findings, and just 9 years after the death of Bruno, Galileo heard about a telescope that had been invented in the Netherlands, and in 1609 he built a telescope of his own and began to study the heavens. Most scientists of the time would not or dared not accept his theories, even decades after Galileo had published his observations with his telescope. Perhaps they couldn't wrap their heads around the concept that the Earth was spinning extremely fast on its own axis, whilst also moving in an elliptical orbit around the Sun. Galileo's book was eventually banned, and the future heliocentrist was imprisoned for his work. The Index Librorum Prohibitorum is a list of books banned by the Catholic Church. Following the Inquisition's 1616 judgment, the works of Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, and others advocating heliocentrism were banned. Galileo was not executed, but was ordered to turn himself in to the Holy Office to begin trial for holding the belief that the Earth revolves around the Sun, which was deemed heretical by the Catholic Church. Standard practice demanded that the accused be imprisoned and secluded during the trial. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 8. Thank you, Galileo. On February the 24th, 1616, the Roman Inquisition approved two proposals that condemned the heliocentric theory developed by Nicholas Copernicus in the mid-16th century. Responding to mounting controversy over theology, astronomy, and philosophy, the Roman Inquisition tried Galileo of Galilee in 1633, found him vehemently suspect of heresy, and sentenced him to house arrest, where he remained until his death on Wednesday the 8th of January 1642 at his home, a villa in Arcetri, just outside Florence. The epitaph he had placed on his own tombstone was "E.P.E.R. se mueve," translated as "But the earth does move." So Galileo had the last word after all. The Church eventually lifted the ban on Galileo's dialogue in 1822 AD. Once it was common knowledge that the Earth was not the centre of the solar system. In 1992, which is only 31 years ago, the Vatican formally and publicly cleared Galileo of any wrongdoing. Even as the latecomer to the astronomy party, or because of this, we've been able to learn so much from Galileo. Building on the pioneering breakthroughs of his forebears, his work has stood the test of time for over 400 years, inspiring generations of future pilots, astronauts, space travelers, aviators, navigators, and speed demons. Galileo taught us all about speed and velocity, gravity and free fall, the principle of relativity, inertia, projectile motion, and worked in applied science and technology, describing the properties of the pendulum and hydrostatic balances. He invented the thermoscope and various military compasses, and used the telescope for scientific observations of celestial objects. His contributions to observational astronomy include telescopic confirmation of the phases of Venus, observation of the 4 largest satellites of Jupiter, observation of Saturn's rings, and analysis of lunar craters and sunspots. Thank you, Galileo, for carrying that heaviest of torches, for pushing the boundaries further and helping the world that would follow to travel at the speed of enlightenment. Indigo Zone, Dark Skies, Part 9. Teotihuacan, Mexico. Teotihuacan is known today as the site of many of the most architecturally significant Mesoamerican pyramids built in the pre-Columbian Americas, namely the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. At its zenith, perhaps in the first half of the first millennium, 1 AD to 500 AD, Teotihuacan was the largest city in the Americas, considered as the first advanced civilization on the North American continent, with a population estimated at 125,000 or more, making it at least the 6th largest city in the world during its epoch. Predating our European Renaissance astronomers by a good 1500 years, many tribes in Mesoamerica had advanced knowledge of mapping the stars and understood the celestial movements of the planets and the deep symbolism of the constellations. So much so they built their entire existence around the worship of the sun and the moon through their pyramid structures, a devotional, spiritually enlightened society and a city planning model that would underpin every generation that would follow. The great monument of Teotihuacan still stands today, while every day the archaeological record reveals yet another piece of the mystical puzzle of the past, the newest and possibly most exciting of which is the unveiling of the city of Ixtabal, close to the Mayan stronghold in Bacalar, in the south of the Yucatan, home of the fort of San Felipe and La Laguna de los Siete Colores, the Lake of Seven Colors. Long may our passion for exploration and our quest for answers continue. This chapter is ended with an image of an aerial view of a hot air balloon flying over the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan in modern-day Mexico, sitting at 40 kilometers or 25 miles northeast of Mexico City, was considered the center of the universe by the Aztecs and the Mayans, and many other Mesoamerican tribes and indigenous civilization that came later, who modeled their own cities on Teotihuacan. It was called the birthplace of the gods, and heavily influenced the region, despite becoming abandoned for centuries. You have been listening to The Investor's Guide to Scorpio Ranch and Phoenix Bloom by Sasha Wallace. Narrated for you by Sasha Wallace. Donations paypal.me/Bloom Healing. Inquiries bloomhealing22@gmail.com. The locations of the Home Tree Farm Eco Villages are Sunsite Ranches in Arizona and Gunsight Ranches in Texas. We can't wait to see you soon. Thank you.